Welcome again to Cottage Talk. I'm Russ Coleman. Joining me right now is Max Cohen. This is our full-time show of Fulham's 1-1 draw against Arsenal at Craven Cottage. We're going to be here for probably the next 20 to 30 minutes breaking down this match. The match ended, I don't know, about 10 minutes ago, Max, and we're still buzzing from what we watched. So let's not waste any time. Give me your initial reaction to this 1-1 draw. Fulham find a way to get a point, and I'll take it as a very good point. I thought it was a very good defensive performance from Fulham Football Club. They made it difficult on Arsenal, but I know you have some thoughts on Arsenal.
Yeah, but I'll start with Fulham, Russ. It's a
Yep.
great point. It's a great result. We drew them at the Emirates last season, beat them at the Cottage, and we got another draw today. What a string of results we've had recently. We beat Brighton, who everyone's saying, oh, Brighton's one of the best teams outside the top six. We drew Spurs, should have won. And now we've gotten a draw against Arsenal. So 3 straight matches, tough matches on the fixture list. Who's to say Liverpool can't be any different? You know, this team, Marcus Silva's done such a great job, Russ. He's done such a great job. And the way we defended today, listen, I think we got fortunate in some respects. We didn't offer anything going forward, but Raul Jimenez took his moment. I just want to say, well done, Jimenez. We give him a lot of criticism here. That was a top-class finish. And quickly on Arsenal, you want to tell me this team's going to be a title contender? That's a joke. That should be on a comedy special if you say Arsenal are title contenders. This team is just a glorified Stoke City. We saw it today. Their set pieces are second to none. They're amazing. They got that set piece coach, and he's in his office doing things all week. Credit to them. If they don't have a set piece, what do they do? And the answer is nothing. The answer is, did they really trouble Bernd Leno at all, other than offset pieces? And the answer is no, Russ. So you want to tell me this team can compete with Liverpool? I think you're joking. And they were very average. And that's the thing about Arsenal fans is they like to talk a big game. And I know a lot of Arsenal fans. They can't beat us right now. We take all their discarded players, and they can't beat us. That's a funny situation to be in.
I hear you, my friend. And what's interesting about this, and before we went to do this show, I was just listening to some commentary on NBC, and they were talking about, I believe, in the announcers were talking about this. I believe it was Gary Neville might have been the one that was mentioning this, that they are struggling from open play. The build-up play is good. All that is great. But they are, like you said, they are just scoring from set pieces right now, or the majority of their goals. So Fulham did an excellent job of limiting what they want to do. And what's interesting about this, the way it played out is something that Tony Gold and myself were talking about it amongst ourselves. He said, Fulham need to play this conservative, Max. I said to myself, it has to be something similar to how we played against Man City. It was to some extent. And take your opportunity, beat them on the break. And we didn't have many opportunities, but when you did have them, you had to pounce. And they did with Raul Jimenez. We'll talk about that. But if you're looking at it from an Arsenal perspective, you could talk about having all the possession, doing all these things around the box, but they couldn't break us down, Max. They really couldn't. And they have some very incredible, intricate passing, but how many clear-cut opportunities did they really have? They had a few, and in the second half, they had more than they did in the first half. They made Bernd Leno work a little bit, but not that much. So my initial reaction is that was just a very good defensive performance, and they deserved the point. Fulham deserved the point.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, listen, we're not going to sugarcoat it. We were on the back foot most of the match, and the way we scored the goal was a bit fortunate, right? But I mean, Arsenal, as you said, Russ. I mean, we put a line of 5 basically at the back, with Iwobi dropping in at right wing back to cover Trossard, and they didn't know what to do with it. And it wasn't even like we did anything that technically or tactically advanced. It was just a low block. We were under a lot of pressure. I remember it was minute 20. I looked at the screen, and everyone was in our own half. We cleared it, and Partey had it basically at halfway line and kept pushing. And that's something you'd see at minute 80. So, we were sitting deep. We didn't play a very positive match, but a lot of teams are going to play like that against Arsenal.
Right.
No one's going to be open against a team because they have quality. But to not be able to break us down, I think it's credit to us, our defense, in the way that, let's just remember, without Anderson, without our top choice center back.
That's right.
So credit to Diop. I thought he was excellent. And Leno, because all the stuff that, listen, all Arsenal really does is crosses, right? Doesn't matter whether it's open play or set pieces. They like to put crosses in. That's their whole thing. And Leno was excellent. He commanded the area well. I remember one of the corners almost went in. He was strong, punch it away.
Yep.
So credit to him. And he had a lot to prove against his former club. I think David Raya is a pretty shocking goalkeeper. Got beat out when he maybe shouldn't have. Of course, against Brentford, we know what happened with him.
Oh, yeah.
I think Leno had a point to prove. He said, hold on, you got David Raya here. I'm better than him.
Okay, very good. I just want to share a couple of comments from our friend Chris Goodwin. He says hello to us, and then he follows us up. Arsenal do not have a Mo Salah. Of course, you're saying that. But I do want to mention this. Steve Reynolds also mentioned this in the comments. Hi, guys. Still not sure whether Arsenal goal was onside. It was onside. It went to VAR, Steve. It was extremely close. Both of these VAR decisions were razor thin close. So they got one and we got one. That's the way I look at it, Max. Honestly, I look at it. Listen, if it's going to be that close, then I'm glad that we have VAR. I know people hate it, but I think if you look at the two decisions, they are the right decisions. It's close.
Yeah.
But, listen, Arsenal supporters can probably think to themselves they should have won this match because of that goal, but it was the right decision. That should have been a disallowed goal. We'll talk about that coming up. But let me just share some more comments. This is from Carl Tanner. Smith Rowe isn't very useful in matches where we don't have any possession. It's funny that Carl is sharing this because I've talked to Tony about this. I want to get your thoughts, Max. In a match like this, when you're not having much of the ball, and I know how everyone feels about Pereira, and I go back and forth on Pereira because I'm of the mindset that I would sell him in January. But when we don't have the ball like this, he does some of the pressing or a lot of the pressing that Smith Rowe doesn't do. I want to get your thoughts about Smith Rowe because he wasn't good in the match.
Yeah, I mean, this wasn't a match for Smith Rowe, to be honest.
Yeah.
We didn't have any possession, basically, as Carl said accurately. Listen, even in matches we do have possession, he often isn't useful. He often is anonymous. So I don't want to go after him too hard because I think this was a defensive effort and that's not a strong suit. But at some point, we can start asking, what does Smith Rowe really offer to this team? Because for too many matches, you don't notice him. And for your central midfielder, for your central attacking midfielder, for the first word that comes to mind to be anonymous in 8 games out of 10, that's not okay. That's not acceptable. And we spent a lot of money on him. And Arsenal fans love him because when he played for them, he was in a system when almost every single home game he played was against a team that wasn't very good, and they had like 60% possession. And that's when Emil Smith Rowe thrives. Pretty low pressure. You have a lot of really good players around you, and it's attack after attack. If it's not that same formula, if it's a team like Fulham who's not as good as Arsenal, and we often don't dominate possession like Arsenal does, you're gonna struggle. And he just doesn't get a foothold in matches. So, but listen, I don't want to go after him too hard, Russ, because again, this match was not about Smith Rowe.
No, it wasn't. It
was noticeable that he came off at 60 minutes. And what was the one thing you could say about his performance? It was he made a good run on one incident, and took a 2 out of 10 touch.
Right.
Just to be honest, I mean, when he had this great pocket of space forward, he took the touch 10 yards back. And for someone who's a technical player, who we know he's great technical ability, in your one moment in a match, he didn't take it. Compare that quickly to Jimenez, who we criticize a lot. Jimenez had one moment in this match, and that shot was perfect.
Right. No, I'm here with you on that. And listen, Emil Smith Rowe, I think Fulham are building around. So I think eventually we're going to get some incredible performances out of him, like we see each and every week out of Alex Iwobi. I think we're just looking for that. We're looking for him to be Alex Iwobi with that type of performance consistently. And I think we'll get there with him. He's still working himself to become the player that I think he's going to be. But I want to share this comment. This is from Damon Rowe, and I really want to talk a little bit about this, Max. I find this interesting. Ridiculous to say Gunners dominated the game. They only had 2 more shots on target. Dean, I agree with you. The best way to say it, they dominated possession. They did not dominate the game at all.
No, I disagree. Listen, I like what Dean's saying because taking a shot at Arsenal, and I agree about it. But I mean, we were playing really negative football. We just were. You can't.
But that was the game plan.
Half.
Max,
we had 10 players behind the ball, Russ, in minute 20 of the match.
Okay,
but that's what domination is. Now, but if anything, they dominated, and as you said, it makes it even more hilarious that they were so terrible because they had
Okay.
all the possession and had no cutting edge. It was like Parker ball on steroids.
Okay. Well, listen, we're going to agree to disagree on this because I guess the argument could be how Brentford played against us. That could be the argument that you're making. I get that. The one thing that I will say is that I truly believe that we were set up to play this way, that this is how Marco wanted Fulham to play, similar to how we played against Man City. So I know what you're saying. It's negative football, but I think it was game plan specific, Max.
Yeah, no, it made sense. I would 100% do the same tactic because you're playing against a team who's a title contender, allegedly, and we're not. So I understand why I have to play negative. But I'm just saying, I mean, think about the attacking moments that Fulham had in this match. They had the goal.
Yep.
And can you say one more? No.
No.
So, I mean, that I'm not knocking our performance. I'm saying, like, Arsenal did dominate. We had barely any play in their attacking third. But that makes it even the more embarrassing for them that they didn't win this match.
I have to share this comment. I spoke to Steve Reynolds earlier, and I mentioned that Emil Smith-Rowe can be a little bit like Berbatov, the way that he doesn't really like press and do the defensive work. So, of course, he has to share this. He says ESR was hardly mentioned. He does not put the work in. And to quote Russ, Berbatov.
That's an insult to Dimitar Berbatov. I want you to retract it. To put Emil Smith-Rowe and Dimitar Berbatov in the same sentence, that's criminal, Russ. Berbatov is one of the best players I think we've ever seen play at Fulham. No work rate, but technical ability, I'd say is probably.
I was talking about the defensive work.
I know.
That's what I was talking
come on,
about.
Because but Berbatov earned that, Russ. He earned that no work rate because he had probably the best touch I've ever seen live.
He did. He did.
And Emil Smith-Rowe has not earned that at all.
No, he hasn't earned that yet. Maybe he'll get there someday. Okay, this is from Chris. I agree with Russ. I think this was Marco's plan to try and hit Arsenal on the break. This is what I actually said in my previous show. I truly believe that, Max. Now, I know what you're saying. We don't like negative play.
No. I agree with Chris, and I agree with you, Russ. That was a game plan, but we did get dominated. That's not okay. Like, we let Arsenal take the game to us, which is fine because we accurately said we'll give them possession. If it's not a set piece, they're toothless. Yeah. So I'm not knocking the game plan at all. I'm just saying that you cannot watch that Fulham performance and say we took the game. Like, we've played big teams at home before. Let's remember Liverpool, first game of the season last season, right? Chris will remember that. Right. We took the game to Liverpool. We were all over them. Not one point in this match did we have Arsenal under pressure. So that's just what I'm trying to say. And I'm not like making a judgment. That's just accurate. We never had them under pressure other than the goal.
Okay. I understand where you're going on that. Okay, Max. Let's go through our first half analysis, all right? Let's focus on the goal because up until the goal, Fulham did not have a sniff. This was really their best opportunity, only opportunity in the first half. So let's talk about this because, again, Raul takes this opportunity real well, and Fulham are shockingly up 1-0. What were you thinking when this went in the back of the net? Because you know what people are going to say against the run of play. Doesn't matter. We got the goal.
Yeah, I mean, it was shocking. I don't think anyone saw it coming in that manner at all. What a ball by Tete, by the way.
Fantastic.
That's why he's in the team now. He's justified his selection with just his defensive work rate's amazing. And that you couldn't have put it any better right into Jimenez's path. And the shot's great. And I think in this era of just over-analysis in football and expected goals and trying to overplay, what Jimenez did was perfect because if he takes a touch or takes a couple touches, that's gone. The chance is gone. There's no angle. He knows he has one moment, one glimpse in time to strike that, and it's perfect. It reminded me a lot almost of the goal we conceded against Brighton in the way because it's hit right into the corner from a long way out. But that's a benefit when you're a striker. You take an early shot, you catch the keeper off his line a little bit. But it's 10 minutes in, and I'm thinking, wow, it's going to be a long 80 minutes in this match because
I agree.
Once you have that lead, you protect it. And we almost did protect it, but it was almost a sense of how we scored too early here,
I was thinking the same thing, Max. We did score early. So when we see out the first half, what were your thoughts? If we look after the goal, I think Fulham were defensively resolute. We did have that opportunity from Smith-Rowe. It was a great opportunity, but beyond that, what did we really create? Not much, but defensively, rock solid, Max.
Yeah, we kind of saw the half in a very comfortable fashion, right? There wasn't that much going on that concerned me. Of course, they had the set pieces, right? I think Saliba headed wide. Leno had to clear it off the line. Whenever they got a set piece or whatever, we were like, it was danger bells. But apart from that, really nothing. You know what I mean?
Yep.
There was a period of sustained pressure basically the entire half,
Right.
but there wasn't a lot coming out of it. You know what I mean? Arsenal had a lot of half chances because they had really, really good interplay. And then they got to around the area of the 18-yard box, and it all kind of fell apart for them.
That's right. And I think that's credit to Fulham, Max, because they were there. They defended very well. And they have some crazy, intricate passing. Odegaard, for me, is unbelievable. Some of his passes, I don't know how he's pulling that off, but they do, and they're consistent with it. So they get themselves in good areas up until a point. They're around the box, but then things get tough for them when they play against Fulham. That's just what I watch, Max. Is that a good way to analyze, especially in the first half? They are around the box. They're even in the box a little bit, but they cannot get a clear-cut opportunity to shoot.
Yeah, totally agree. And here's my issue with Arsenal, right?
Yep.
Is that you want to talk the two title contenders right now, Arsenal, Liverpool. That's probably fair. Chelsea too, right?
Right.
Chelsea,
You got to
Arsenal,
throw
Liverpool.
Chelsea in there. I know no one wants to, but you have to throw them in.
City are out of it. I think everyone agrees now. So we look at Liverpool. They have Mo Salah, as Chris said in the chat. Mo Salah, I think, is probably the best player in the world right now. Arsenal fans want to pretend that Saka is on his level. He's not. Because in a game like today, Bukayo Saka, who I think is a good player, I do. I'm not trying to criticize him, but he's not a match winner in the way that Mo Salah is. And we saw that because what did Bukayo Saka do today? Arsenal fans want to hype this guy up as one of the best players in England, if not the best player in England. He's not there.
Yep.
He listen, he had the offside goal, so he probably thought he won the match, but tough on him. But when there's a low block and you just put two players on him, he can't really do that much. There was one incident when Robinson was caught out of position and Saka was one-on-one with
I remember that.
Right?
Yep.
And he gets space, and that's probably the one save Leno made all match. Probably he gets space, but instead of taking it with he cuts back on his right, and Salah's going to punish you there. Mo Salah's going to score that 9 times out of 10, and that's the difference between Salah and Saka to me right now.
Right. Very good. I'm going to share some more comments. They are coming in, and thank you everyone that's watching live. We have a decent amount of people watching live with us, Max. This is from Carl Tanner. A couple of them. I'm just going to share this, and I'm going to get your thoughts on both of these, Max. Carl Tanner shares, did we have a single corner the entire match? I don't think we did. That's number one, which tells you something about the match. This is another one. And again, this doesn't give Fulham a break, but it's something that we do have to consider. We have to keep in mind there was only 2 full days of rest, and Arsenal had an extra day of rest. That may have factored in somewhat. I think it's a fair point to factor it in, but I think Fulham did more than enough to deserve the point. Did they do enough to deserve 3 points? No. So I think it's a factor in how this match worked itself out. But I think even if they had the same amount of rest, I think this would have been Marco's plan. So I think it still might have played out this way. What are your thoughts about that, Max, about the rest? And then, of course, the fact that we didn't have the single corner.
Yeah, I mean, Arsenal have a bigger squad than us, so they're obviously going to be better suited to matches like today. But they're also playing Champions League football, and I don't know how much we can read into rest because I think they have a lot bigger commitments than what we have, where our only focus really is the league. And the corner thing, it's a great point. We weren't creating chances at all, basically, which is okay. I think Wilson at the end in stoppage time, he had that cross and went right to the keeper, but that was really, I was like, oh wow, we have not been in attacking positions because that was almost treated like a shot on goal. That's fine, right, Russ? That's what it's all about. It's about the result.
It is about the result, my friend. And listen, I'm not disappointed that they only got a point. I'm not. I'm actually happy because I think they deserved it. I don't think they deserved all 3 points because they didn't create enough. If they held on and didn't give up that goal, then I would have thought, okay, defensively, they found a way. But if you look at it overall, Max, they deserved 1 point. And I don't think Arsenal deserved all 3 points. I'm sorry. I don't think they deserved it. They didn't do enough. We could talk about the disallowed goal. We'll talk about that coming up next. But they could not handle Fulham's defense. They just couldn't. They couldn't break it down. And that's a part of the match. You have to figure it out. And if you can't figure it out, then you deserve what you get. And that's a draw. So let's now move to the second half. Max, and let's talk about Arsenal's equalizer. Now, what's interesting here, because we're going to be talking about VAR decisions coming up, this one, and then, of course, the disallowed goal. So, at first look, and I understand why Steve was mentioning this to us, because the first look we got, it looked like they were offside. You saw it, and I saw it. Then they showed us another view, and it looked like he was onside. And that's the one that actually was the right call. I know it's painful to say it, but this VAR did get this right. This was the right call. The problem that Fulham had is that they were defending tremendously off of all of these crazy set pieces that Arsenal were doing. This is the first time they went back post, and for whatever reason, they were expecting near post. That's what it seemed like to me, Max. So that's credit to Arsenal for changing it up, and it worked. So thoughts on the Arsenal goal?
Yeah, I mean, if you gave out the Premier League title for set pieces, they'd win it in a landslide. It wouldn't be close. We have to respect it, Russ. It's genius. It's just like
it is.
I mean, because everyone thinks they're doing one thing, right? Near post, and we have 5 people up there or whatever, which is it's crazy. I've never seen a team defend like that, but you have to because it's so dangerous. And then the one time they sent it back post, we're caught out. It was
first time.
It was such a smart move. I'm in awe of it because they do something so effectively that teams like us, change our entire way of defending just to deal with that one thing.
That's
and then
right.
They switch it up on you, and it's toast. The thing I'd say though is Robinson is out of position.
Yep.
Anthony Robinson is the only one who's off the line. And I think the more people watch Anthony Robinson play, like the more people who don't like non-Fulham fans right. of big teams who want to sign him, I think the more they'll realize that he's not defensively where they might expect him to be.
Right.
Because the hype is amazing. That. Listen, again, I love Anthony Robinson. He's one of my favorite players. And now he's getting the captain's armband.
Right.
He's going to go to a big club. I really believe this. I think he's going to leave Fulham in the next year. And he's going to be found out a little bit because his pace is exceptional. I think his one-on-one defending is improved. His crossing
much
improved from a really low point, but it's still improved.
Yes.
His positioning is probably this worst part about his game. And it happens a lot. I'll be honest. Right. It happens a lot. And we have to recognize that. And this was
it's a fair point. Yeah. No, listen, it's a fair point. It's the one part of his game that he now needs to work on, Max. I'm glad you said, because he's worked on so many other parts of his game. His crossing is 360 degrees so much better right now. His, like you said, one-on-one defending so much better. So he is defending really well. It's maybe some of his positioning, like you said, that might be the next thing to take him to the next level. So I understand where you're going on that. Okay.
And get this, Russ. I know we'll get to this, but just quickly on Robinson, he almost kept Martinelli on.
Yeah.
At the end.
It was very close.
That was him. And if that's happening 2 times in a match, that's an issue. You need to talk about that. You can't ignore it.
It's a very good point. All right. So let's now go to the disallowed goal. Let's transition. Let's talk about this because I'm sure every Arsenal supporter and Arsenal themselves, Mikel Arteta, everyone thought they won the match. So I'm watching this, Max, and I actually thought when they were showing it at that time, I'm like, well, wait a minute, Martinelli, I'm on the build-up play. I could see it. So I thought there might be a chance here that this is going to be a disallowed goal. And then when you slow it down, when you get VAR involved, Max, this is the right call, just like the other VAR call was the right call. I know people do not like VAR, but as Chris Goodwin said in our comments here, he says when it comes to offside, it generally gets it right. And they got this one right. VAR actually got this one right, Max. What are your thoughts about the disallowed goal?
Is there anything funnier, Russ, than having an entire away end celebrate, having the manager get all excited, having all the players mob around, only to have a minute later the goal's called off? I thought it was hilarious. Like I was just laughing. I was so happy, just enjoying this. Of course, if it's the other way around, we're furious. I mean, the issue, Russ, that fans have about VAR has nothing to do with VAR. It's just fans being upset that the decision didn't go their way. I'll be honest. If the roles are reversed, right, and that's a last-minute winner by Muniz and Iwobi is a fraction off in the build-up, we're here sitting on the show furious. I'm saying VAR is a disgrace. there's no advantage the player gets by being 0.5 centimeters offside in the build-up. You know what I mean? Like, but just because the roles are reversed, we'll say the other thing. So it's really just all about depending on what side you're on in the match. That being said, if we want to be totally neutral, which I'll try to be for 1 second, this rule needs to be changed because we've just completely ruined what offside means. What offside is meant to prevent is players sitting and cherry picking in front of the goal.
I agree with that.
And we've contorted this rule into saying because Martinelli was half a yard offside in the build-up to if Saka's offside in the cross, it's a different situation, you know. Right. But the cross itself to lead to the goal is like it's gone too far. You know what I mean? Yep. It's gone a little bit too far.
Okay, I get where you're going on that. We've talked about it that it's millimeters, but I could say that about both of these VAR decisions. It was very close. It could have gone either way if it was just if you looked at it. But I want to just listen. I think VAR got it right, but maybe there needs to be a tweaking. I get where you're going on that. I do want to talk a little bit about going back to the goal. This is what Demon Rose says. It says so Leno was at fault for their goal. Should have left ESR isolated and brought another player across. What are your thoughts?
It's interesting. I honestly have not thought about this at all. I wasn't really focusing on Leno. I was just honestly more looking at the offside. So I don't know. What do you think, Russ?
Yeah. I don't know. You know, I don't know. I would honestly, Dean, I would have to watch it back. I was just furious that they gave up the goal. So I didn't really focus too much about it, but I will definitely look at that before we do the post-match show because I'm glad that you brought this to our attention, Dean. Thank you very much. I also want to mention because I was going to mention this anyway. So while we're talking about the second half, Stephen Murray's asking the question, is Bassey now banned after his yellow? The answer is yes. He is banned for the Liverpool match. I know Chris is going to be jumping up for joy on that one, but that's true. He is banned for the Liverpool match. And so we have to hope that Anderson's going to be back, or we'll see Cuenca and Diop. I think that's what you'll see. So that hurts. I'm not going to lie on that. Yeah, Chris, you're jumping. Good for you. Good for you, Chris. Okay. So next, to finish this up, let's just finish up how this match ended. And I thought Fulham did a very good job seeing this match out after the disallowed goal. And they deserved the point. What was going through your head for those final stages of the match?
It just felt like so many other matches we watched before, right? And it almost ended up that way when we just sit back, and they get a last-minute goal. It reminded me a lot of like United last season when Garnacho scored at the end. It was a similar type of vibe I felt.
Yep.
I'm going way back when we conceded to Spurs in like 2019 at home. Do you remember that one, Russ?
Yep, I do. I do.
Like that's very similar type of just we sit back. We think we have it, and in the end, the big team scores right in front of the away fans. So, you know, but that's how football goes. I was really worried, frankly, that in the minutes after the goal was disallowed, that we're going to concede again. That was my biggest fear. I'm like, that would just be the worst way to lose this match. But thankfully, it didn't happen. And we actually had our best attacking moments in the second half in stoppage time.
That's right.
We running through Pereira, like it was crazy.
And listen, if Declan Rice doesn't tackle Sander Berge, maybe we get a great opportunity. I've literally tackled him. So
good was Sander, by the way?
Well, we're going to get that. We are going to get to him because I want to talk about man of the match. That's how we're going to end this full-time show. And we will have a post-match show. I want to mention that this is just supposed to be an initial reaction show, but let's get to that. Coming up next, Max and I will end with man of the match. Okay, my friend, let's finish up this show. And we've already talked about our initial reaction. We believe Fulham deserves something from this, and they got what they deserve, which is a well-earned point against a team that is very good on set pieces. Let's just call it what it is. But Fulham did defensively. They were very resolute and deserved the point. So that's going to lead to who was your man of the match. Max, I'll go to you. Who was your man of the match? And we can talk about some of the performances.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Jimenez. He took his moment so well. The one shot he had, it was perfectly placed, and he's a difference maker for us. So I know he didn't have much to do the rest of the match, but that moment of brilliance is what kept us competitive.
Okay. I'm going to share this from Dean Monroe. Berge and Lukic Pairing great again. Maybe Berga, man of the match, close second, Robinson. So what are your thoughts about Berga and Lukic, and then also Anthony Robinson?
Yeah, I think this is probably Berga's best game for us, for sure. This is, I think, the matches he thrives in when it's a bit more physical. He can control the middle of the field and doesn't have to do too much in the other direction. Robinson's really good. I mean, the anticipation he had in a bunch of chances was top class. I thought he shut down Saka for most of the match. I think just his positioning means I don't think he's right up there because there were a number of chances he just got caught up field and then exposed.
Yep.
And at the goal, he was at fault. So, but yeah, I mean, listen, I think you could say any player on the pitch, with the exception of Smith Rowe, maybe just put in a great shift.
I agree with that. I'm going to just share some more comments. They are coming in at very fast pace right now. This is from Chris, who is a Liverpool supporter. I'm going for joint man of the match, Berga and Lukic, who protected your defense. We've already talked about that. This, to me, is what is going to change Fulham the rest of the season, Max. This partnership, I think, gives Fulham a platform to, I'm going to say it right now, not just contend for Europe, but end in a position for Europe. It's going to be because of this midfield pairing, because I think they're going to be huge, and they're only going to get better as the season progresses, Max. That's how big I think these two were, not just in this match, but I think moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, totally agree. We have a solid base, and let's remember this is all because Pereira is not playing. So you take Pereira out of the equation, and suddenly we look a lot more solid.
Okay, let's see. We got a bunch of comments coming in. Thank you, everyone, for watching live with us. Stephen Murray says, man of the match, Berger or Robinson. Our friend Colm, I've not heard from you in a while, Colm. I hope you're well. And thank you so much for joining us. Berger for me. Carl Tanner says, Berger, Robinson, if not played, Arsenal on side. Let's see. Our friend here says, Berger, Robinson, Tete all had a great game. So we got a bunch of them. We got another Robinson. Let's see what else we've got. Keep them coming in. If we can go a little bit longer, and then we'll definitely wrap up the show. And I just want to thank everyone that actually joined us. I do want to share this comment from Colm, because I was just mentioning it before when Stephen was actually asking about the suspension for Bassi, which hurts, Max. It does hurt. So here's his comment. A bit scared of the Diop Cuenca double up against Liverpool in our next match, but you never know. You never know. And I just want to say this. Marco Silva has been praising this guy and wants to give him an opportunity. I think he's going to be forced into his chance here, Max.
Yeah, I mean, that's not the ideal matchup you want against the best.
Not Liverpool. Not Liverpool.
So I'm scared. But frankly, because we've gotten good results in the past matches, this can be like a free hit for us, is the way I see it. We don't have to get something there. We're in a decent position. But yeah, that's I think Salah and Nunez and Diaz and Szoboszlai, they're gonna eat us alive. But we'll see.
Okay. We'll get to that next week. I do want to mention, as we are recording this live, my friend, I have the Tottenham Chelsea match on right now. 10 minutes in, 2-0 to Tottenham.
No, what?
2-0 to Tottenham.
Spurs. Okay. The same Spurs that lost to Bournemouth and drew us?
That's right.
And beat City 4-0 away. Wow.
That's right. I've heard all these great things about the other club in Fulham. They are currently down. This is early. 2-0.
Spurs are a joke, Russ. They're a joke. I love Spurs because they literally don't turn up. They cannot turn up 2 weeks in a row. It's actually impossible for them to do it. But they can do this.
Okay. It's crazy. It's just crazy to see a team that is like Jekyll and Hyde, like Tottenham Hotspur. But listen, before we go, any final thoughts?
Just, I think, where we were after losing to Wolves, let's just remember the negativity and think of where we are now. And I think that's the fact that we've turned this around. Again, I say it a lot. Marco Silva is a great manager because easily I think that Wolves match could have led to a poor run of form. But we've seen response after response after response and playing, I think, getting some of our most impressive results of the season in terms of Spurs away, Brighton home, Arsenal home. Right. So credit to Silva.
Huge credit to Silva. And I want to give Marco a lot of credit to his game plan today and the players executing it, because maybe someone else comes out differently against a team like this at home, but they decided to be more defensive, be more conservative, as Tony Gold said to me, he's like, that was the right decision. He made the right decision. And, it's funny because I was listening to this Arsenal podcast and the gentleman was great. He gave a great preview of the match. And he said a lot will tell us how this match is going to play out by Anthony Robinson. Will he be bombing forward or will he be more defensive? And I think we found out early what his role was going to be. It was going to be more defensive because we were set up that way. Like you said, you had Iwobi on the other side taking Trossard out of the match, basically being that fifth defender. That was the Man City game plan. That's what we saw, my friend. And I think it worked really well. I don't care that they're home. I don't need every match for them to be free-flowing Fulham. Sometimes you need to change up your tactics. It worked here, Max.
Totally agree. And it's a hard-earned point, and that's now 3 matches in a row Arsenal haven't beaten us. So
I love it. I love it, man. I totally love it. I know Chris Goodwin's loving it right now because he's a Liverpool supporter. So, Chris, we'll see you next week. I look forward to seeing you after the match and after a massive Fulham victory at Anfield. So I just thought I would end by saying that. Anyways, well, it is time to wrap up this show. For Max Cohen, I'm Russ Goldman. Thank you as always for watching and listening to Cottage Talk, part of the TalkSport Fan Network.